Okay, so this is probably the first video that you're going to watch from me, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through all the different lab equipment, and I'm going to tell you what they're called, and I'm going to give you at least one use for them. And this is going to help you through that worksheet that you're supposed to be doing in your packet. And the title of that worksheet is Chemistry Laboratory Equipment Identification, or Physical Science Laboratory Equipment Identification. Okay, so what you have in front of you is a triple beam balance. Some of you will see a 4-beam balance, and the difference between those is it has 3 or 4 beams, as you can imagine. The 4-beam balance is a little more specific. Okay, it's going to give you a more specific weight. It'll give you one more decimal place. And also, as you can imagine, the purpose of this piece of equipment is to take the mass of objects. This would be an example of a beaker. This says a 200 milliliter beaker right here, and that is the total capacity of the beaker. That means if you filled it all the way up, it would hold 200 milliliters. Okay, and then it has little graduations right here, and this would give you a rough estimate of liquid. So you can use this to measure liquid, although this is not the best tool that you could use. It also just is used to hold liquid. These here are Beaker Tongs. They are Beaker Tongs. I know they're Beaker Tongs because they have the rubber end right here, and they're used to hold a beaker, and usually when the beaker's hot or really, really cold and you don't want to burn your hands. This would be a burner. Some people will call it a Bunsen burner, but a simple burner is fine for me. We're going to use this. You're going to use a hose to hook it up to the gas and use it to produce a flame. So the technical use would be produce a flame, or you could use it to heat stuff up. This is a conductivity tester. You can see that it's in a solution right now, and if both lights come on, that means that the circuit is completed. Okay, if you remember anything from your circuit history, your circuits that you learned in science, and that means that the electrons are flowing through that solution and it is conducting electricity. So this is used to see if a solution is conducting electricity. These are disposable pipettes. They're used to add liquids drop by drop or measure small amounts of liquids. You can see these guys have little graduations on them, so you can usually use these to measure like 1 milliliter or half a milliliter, or you could do drops of liquids too. If you hold this guy perpendicular, you can get uniform drops. Okay. Now this looks very similar to our last slide, but this is actually called a dropper. And notice this one does not have graduations on it, so the only thing you can do with this one is add liquids drop by drop. This is called a flask. If we want to be specific, it's an Erlenmeyer flask. I will not ask you to be that specific, but the difference between this and a beaker is, see the small opening at the top? So if you can swirl this around and it will not splash, the liquid will not splash out of the top. So you can use this for mixing different liquids, holding different liquids. They do have the graduations on there, so you can measure some liquid, but again, it's not very accurate. This is a funnel. You have a plastic and a glass one. Obviously, this one is used to transfer liquids. These are 3 different examples of graduated cylinders, and in the next unit we will talk more about measuring, but specifically to note here, they're all different sizes, so the different numbers are different. So all the different lines will mean different things on the different ones. So they're used obviously to measure liquids. This you may or may not have seen before, and some of them look a little different, but this is a microwell plate. Micro means tiny, right? And well is usually like a hole, and so this is a plate filled with tiny little holes. And what it's used is for like tiny little reactions. You can do a bunch of different reactions all at the same time. This is a ring stand. You can use it to hold different rings. You can use those, or different clamps actually, and you can use those clamps to hold different things. You can use it to hold a ring clamp and set a beaker on top of it, or use it to hold a test tube, and a lot of times use it to heat things up. These are called spatulas or scupulas. You use them to scoop chemicals. This is a stirring rod. This one is a glass stirring rod. You use it to stir things, obviously. This is a test tube. You use it to hold small amounts of liquid or to do small reactions. These are 3 different examples of a test tube clamp. I know it's a test tube clamp because the test tube fits right in here, and this side is a clamp. Clamp meaning it would fit right on a ring stand. This guy here is a test tube holder. Some people get those guys confused. A test tube clamp has that end that clamps on the or the ring stand, and this guy is a test tube holder. I remember the difference because this guy, I can hold it in my hand. This guy is a test tube rack. I remember this because it's a rack full of test tubes. I can put a whole bunch in there. This guy's a thermometer. You use it to take the temperature of something. These guys are wash bottles. You can use them to rinse things out. You can also use them to hold water or soap, stuff like that. And that's all. So if you guys have any questions, bring them to class.